Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Today we're going to be looking into some more analysis. If these kinds of videos appeal to you, hit the subscribe button, because as much as there's a lot of hype and fluff and announcements, one thing that is always nice to do is take a look at the underpinnings of things. And I enjoy doing this, so come along. We're going to look at some things that may speak to what Microsoft's strategy has been and what their potential new strategy will be. Now, this also kind of ties in the new Batman game and the Warner Brothers games acquisition with the whole DC fandom event coming soon. One of the really cool things that, fans are wanting to see is this event, and mostly other fans from the Xbox ecosystem would also love to see this translate into this in an ecosystem. Now, Xbox Game Studios has basically been making some advancements as this console generation was winding down. They started these moves around 2017, ending through 2018, 2019, and even this year. What they did was they started acquiring all these studios. They have right now under their belt 15 game development studios that they say, or they claim, are focusing on delivering great games for everyone wherever they play on console, PC, or mobile devices. And this strategy is somewhat working for them. And I know many of these studios, you may look and say, well, but what games have these studios brought to the market? To be very honest, I think they went ahead and got studios that were in their infancy stage so that they could shape the way these studios were. And they also got some studios that were, somewhat established. Don't get me wrong. Ninja Theory is a decently established studio. Obsidian is also a decently established studio. And I think Double Fine is another one. What Double Fine is doing right now is literally playing a joke on their website. They're just over here saying, hey, we're taking a break and all that stuff. Because I went to all their websites to check them all out and see what games they're doing. And the titles that they're making are somewhat AAA games in a sense. They're not AA games, but they are not as big as some of your other AAA games. So you see some studios that that make Forza. I think 10 Turn makes their Forza games. Yes. I think Undead Labs makes State of Decay 1 and 2. I think. Yes, they are the ones that make State of Decay and State of Decay 2. And so these games have basically come to the market, but has not necessarily appealed to everyone. And in many cases, a lot of the games that you also see around, from these other studios, you can play on different platforms as well, if you get what I mean. Now, are these studios going to be able to develop the kinds of platformers that are going to be able to compete against what Sony has lined up? And that's the question. So it brings Warner Brothers games into the equation. And if you ask me to fix this picture, I'll basically go into my graphics design software. I'll go ahead and slap a Warner Brothers logo in the middle of all of this and say, there, fixed it for you. Because I feel and I believe that's exactly how it needs to be. We don't have to sit here, just basically hoping. Microsoft needs to be able to go back and contrast these deals and make sure that this is exactly something that they can deliver to their fans without even hesitation. To be very honest, think about it. Sony is coming very strong this console generation. They want to be able to sell consoles. They want to be able to keep up the reputation that they have. I have a PlayStation 4. Don't get me wrong. I'm rooting for Xbox. Look, there it is. I'm rooting for Microsoft to be able to get this thing in. I like the Xbox design, the Microsoft, ecosystem, their mobile games platform. Let me not say mobile games platform. The way they've been able to take their games as a service to the mobile section. I don't know if you guys know, Windows has in testing right now a Windows-based platform that you can actually play some video games using your Xbox controller and your cell phone. I have an Xbox controller here, yes. And this system is actually pretty solid, very, very good. If you play it on Wi-Fi, if you have like a very strong 4G or even 5G network connection, you can play, platform console-based games on there and keep your progress depending on the games that they are. So Microsoft has a very solid ecosystem, no doubt. But what I think they need to do is basically advance their strategy in acquiring this studio before anything else, comes in and swoop. Now, The other part is, regardless of what it is that we want or what we desire, there's also what they call business strategy. Now, here is the thing. Xbox is still going to sell a good number of consoles. The question is, are these number of consoles enough for Microsoft to be able to kind of, harp on? And can Microsoft afford to carry out the same strategy that it carried out last generation, which was basically chill, release a very limited number of games, and keep money in your bank account? Many people aren't considering this, but think about how much Sony blew on developing a lot of these exclusives. If you compare these two, I think Microsoft basically came out on the top end financially, in my opinion, because the amount of risk that involves, that it takes to go ahead and pay for these games to get developed. Think about God of War. If you maybe even Google how much was God of War to make, or whatever, the one on PS4, how much it made, I think the number was about 41 million or so. It's earned 131 million. So God of War on PS4 made 131 million, but it cost about $41 million or so to make. Now, yes, it looks like it was a threefold earnings, but then when you look at all kinds of other things, sure, maybe they may have come back home with net profitability at maybe another $40 million. So spend $40 million to make $40 million sounds like a good deal, right? But then why not just sit down on the billions of dollars that you also have and maintain a strong position, continually investing it in other things, or basically just keeping it in cash and waiting for a decently good deal? There's nothing wrong with that. Now look at The Last of Us 2. How much did they invest in that game? And is that game going to yield as much as God of War? I doubt it. I absolutely doubt that The Last of Us 2 is going to be able to reach Last of Us, or God of War sales numbers, because those two games are surrounded by all kinds of different circumstances. And with people being more at home with everything going on in the world, there was a lot more scrutiny on The Last of Us 2 than there was on God of War. And even still, God of War paid a lot of fan service and did what gamers usually like. So Microsoft might be in the position to either buy or not buy and be looking for a good deal on that studio. And guess who is not in a position to really negotiate much stronger? It's AT&T. AT&T is in a lot of debt, and they have a huge shareholding from a company that seems to be like a kind of a, I would say, activist company that's basically bought a lot of shares into them and wants them to divest of what they own. Now, if that company basically is able to press, I don't think AT&T is going to be in a very strong position. So Microsoft might just be waiting for a very good deal to come in and bid among the other guys and swoop a better deal, something that is much less than $4 billion. Because think about it, they already have 15 studios under their belt. If they take on Warner Brothers games, they're going to be taking at least 4 to 5 major studios. I think much more than 4 or 5, but I'm talking about the named brand. You're talking Warner Brothers Montreal. You're talking about Rocksteady. You're talking about NetherRealms. You're talking about what's the name of the studio that develops the Lego games? As crazy as it sounds, they are a very, very very good studio as well. And then you have the studio that's in development of Hitman. So that's that's 5 major names, and this is not even looking at what's the name of I can't remember the name of the studio that did Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Yikes. Sorry, I have to look it up. I'm not going to let that just fly away. Give me a second. Middle-earth: Shadow of War. It'll be an M, huh? Let's look at the name of the studio that developed this game. Sorry. Info. Monolith Productions, and they were able to drop a AAA title, in this regard. So when you think about the strategy, think about the plethora of studios, it's either Microsoft might just say, you know what, for this generation, we're going to take our time and see how it goes. We're not really in a hurry. One thing about money making for these guys is they're probably not going to want to put up as much, too much money. It's nice to kind of snag a deal and be able to get profitability out of it. But then I fear that you have other sharks that are in the, in the bidding too. Activision has a ton of money sitting there too that they might be willing to, put it on and take on these games. Oh, I hope Activision does not ever touch a Batman game. The reason I say so is because during the Spider-Man era, I felt like they were just pumping out games without even, investing a lot in the quality. So that's why I don't think Activision should even come close to this. And then EA is also another culprit of, the game, the game industry's you know, I would say just bad child. That, you know, EA is just not in the good books of the entire gaming community, especially not the superhero community, because they had an opportunity to be able to deal with Batman games in the past. And basically that was, you know, something that I don't know how it all went on, and maybe they divested of it, or maybe Warner Brothers took it on to another level, but they haven't really showed too much good stewardship with, you know, Star Wars. So I don't think they have a reputation that needs to come close to this game. But anyways, I want to hear your thoughts on what you think, you know, Xbox's game studio strategy is. Do you think that they are in that position to either buy or not buy, or do you think they have no position to even be discussing this, but need to buy as soon as they possibly can? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hopefully we see a deal. I would love to see a deal. That's just my own take. I'd love to see for them bring it to this ecosystem. Yes, I have a PlayStation. I would not mind, you know, moving to an Xbox, you know, for just the Batman games. I wouldn't mind. Honestly, I really would not mind at all. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys hopefully soon. Peace.